There was a moment. You didn't notice it. No fireworks, no warning, just a small, quiet choice, made in a second you've probably forgotten. And somehow, it became the hinge your whole life turned on. What if the biggest turns in your life were never the big moments at all? Think about how you got here. Not the story you tell at parties, the real path. It wasn't the graduation, not the wedding, not the promotion. It was smaller than that. A text you didn't send, a job you almost didn't take, a quiet, sure, why not, on an ordinary Tuesday. Psychologists describe this idea through path dependence, the way small early choices quietly shape the options that become available later. You didn't choose your life only at the obvious crossroads. You were also shaping it long before you realized a crossroads was coming. And the strange part is, your brain wasn't built to notice this. It evolved to notice threats, rewards, and familiar patterns, not the invisible architecture that slowly builds a life. Here's what you were probably never told. You are not behind because you missed one perfect decision. You are not broken because you failed to recognize a life-changing moment. Almost nobody does. The decisions that shape us most rarely arrive with dramatic music or clear signs. Most of a life is built through ordinary moments made by a mind that has no idea it's quietly voting for the future. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman described two ways the mind makes decisions. System 1, fast, automatic, intuitive. In System 2, slow, deliberate, analytical. Many invisible decisions begin with System 1. It isn't asking, will this shape my life? It's asking, is this familiar? Is this easy? Is this safe? Then something else happens. Psychologist Daryl Bem's self-perception theory suggests that people often infer who they are by observing what they repeatedly do. Sometimes you don't act because of your identity. You build your identity from your actions. You say yes once, maybe by accident, maybe without thinking, and slowly your mind begins telling itself, I'm the kind of person who does this. That's the real turning point, not the decision itself, the identity that quietly grows after it. So what can you do? First, notice the small yes. Every casual, sure, why not, is a vote for a future version of yourself. Pause long enough to recognize what you're voting for. Second, listen carefully to your identity. Whenever you think, that's just who I am, ask yourself, when did I first decide that? Often, the story began with one small experience, not an undeniable truth. Third, slow down the automatic decisions. When something could shape your future, give yourself just a few extra seconds. A little pause can shift an entire direction. Fourth, question your defaults. The habits, routines, and assumptions you rarely notice often decide more of your future than your biggest ambitions. Choose one default to examine. You may discover it was never really yours. Finally, treat small choices with quiet respect. They may seem insignificant today, but today's ordinary decision becomes tomorrow's identity. Here's the image to carry with you. Your life isn't a single tree growing from one dramatic moment. It's more like water flowing down a hillside. Each small choice creates a tiny groove. Every repetition makes that groove a little deeper. Eventually, the water flows there automatically. The groove doesn't ask permission, it simply follows the path that has been carved. Which means, changing your life rarely begins with one enormous decision. It begins with noticing the small one standing quietly in front of you. You don't need a defining moment. You've already lived through hundreds of them. You just didn't know they were defining you. The next invisible decision is probably closer than you think, smaller than you expect, quieter than you imagine. It won't announce itself, but you can. Notice it.
Sometimes that's all it takes to change everything.